Yes, it is here. What's up, everyone? Metalheads, rockers, whatever. I have it used to be called the metal block, but I changed it to the rock and metal block so I can cover all things rock, everything metal. Because there's goth rock, there's death rock, there's alternative rock, there's pop rock, there's but then there's all kinds of different types of metal and subgenres and everything else. But we're celebrating today what is called traditional heavy metal. Now, some of you might, what is that? Well, what is traditional heavy metal? Isn't that what stuff you in the 80s and the 70s or what we grew up on? For you that are my age, 57. Yes, it is, but it's also there's a new wave of traditional heavy metal that's been going on for quite a long while here. It's nothing really new, and it's nothing really new to me. I've always been aware of this channel called the NWOTHM Full Albums channel on YouTube. I totally encourage you to check it out. I've dabbled through it a few times in the past, even bought some records off it. Discovered Castle Rat on it, discovered Void on that channel and went and bought their albums. I discovered a band called Savage Master who's got a new album coming out, but I bought this record back when it came out just by seeing them on that channel. And I even bought a Witch Hazel just recently. Discovered this band is really good. But what I'm going to do is we're going to break down 20 of the best of that channel that I've come across. Anyway, those are the best in my opinion. There's about 250 new releases of 2025. I couldn't get through all of them, but the most of the ones that stood out to me, as far as I like to think of this channel as kind of like an online record store. I still go to the record store. I got 7th Avenue Records here in Portland, Oregon, and I still go there and I thumb through the records. There's stuff that I'm familiar with, there's stuff I know, there's stuff I already have. But then some, every now and then a record will jump out at me that I don't know of or never heard of, but the artwork looks really cool, or the logo or the band name looks really cool. And I'll look at the back and see what the song titles are like and maybe what the band looks like or whatever. It's just like what I used to do as a teenager. And back then you had to sort of take a chance. You had to you look at the cover, like let's say you come across Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind. You never heard of Iron Maiden before back in like 83 or whatever. And you just see that picture of Eddie in the fucking straight jacket and, in the fucking nut house or whatever. And he's got that evil grin. And you're like, fuck, this looks like it could piss off my parents. This looks like it's just going to be really cool. You take it home and then you're taking that chance because you're plucking down that $5 or $6 back then. It was $5 or $6 or whatever money you worked hard and mowed those lawns for, and just prayed, if you did believe in God. But I'm an atheist, so I just crossed my fingers that it was a good record, and most of the times it was, so you took that chance. Now the thing about this new wave of traditional heavy metal, these are all bands, younger bands of like people of this generation. So many people tell me, what's going to be the next young rock band that's going to carry the torch for like the Iron Maidens and the Judas Priests that are still out there, but they're going to retire soon, or they're all dropping like flies, Alice Cooper, who's 78 but still doing everything. But come on, maybe around 81, 82, he's gonna have to retire at some point. Who are going to be the next bands to carry that torch? And sometimes you think of, well, what is mainstream metal now? Like what is the 2020s like, or what is 2010s? It's hard to sort of put a pinpoint on what mainstream metal is right now, because obviously back then mainstream metal was Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Twisted Sister, Wasp, Motley Crue. Those were the bands that were like in the charts on MTV constantly. Whereas now it's like, I don't know, you got rock bands like Maneskin or Motionless in White, or they're kind of gothic looking, but they're metal, but they're mainstream. And then you got Ghost, who people are like, oh, is that metal? I don't know if that's metal or not. But yet they're pulling in numbers and they're in all the metal magazines. You got bands like, I guess, Baby Metal in a sense. It's like, are these the bands that are going to carry on the torch for like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and all those bands? I seriously think we're in a renaissance with this new wave of traditional heavy metal, that these bands that I've been discovering over time, past few months and this past couple of weeks even, that, man, some of these bands just need, if they just take off, it's going to fucking take off like crazy. So this online store, or this online here, I'm going to share the channel with you real quick. Let me do a little share screen here, just so you know what I'm talking about. Some of you might not know what I'm talking about. You're like, what the hell's a NWOTHM? NWA? You mean the rap band? No. But anyway, so this channel here, as you can see, let Let me close that window there. But yeah, you know, they got like a full album. So then they highlight the ones that are recent, like the new 2025 releases and stuff. And that's what I've been kind of going through. I want to see, you know, what's out there right now, like right this moment. I discovered a band called Creatures on here. I've known about them for the past few months, and I started I click on them. Oh, I really like this, but then I was, you know, really liking them, and then I ended up getting a guitar player on my show. You can catch an interview on my channel here. It was just a couple weeks ago. Had him on, and really super cool guy. They're from Brazil. Brilliant music, great singer. Mark Brito. He's also got another band called Hellway Train that we're going to talk about. But yeah, it's just, you discover. So what I'm saying about this channel is that, like, I'm gonna stop sharing now. It's kind of like being in a record store. So you click on the picture that you think looks cool or the name, and then the difference is you get a chance to kind of preview it before you plug down your dollars. So in other words, when I discovered Witch Hazel, which probably been around for, it looks like they have about 4 or 5 records. I was like, damn, I got to get that new one because that's what I heard first, and I really liked it. It sounds like a lot like kind of Jethro Tull sounding, some Uriah Heep, but then modern at the same time. I believe they're from, I think they're from the UK, and a lot of great bands from Greece I've discovered. But what we're going to do is I'm going to go down. Now I'm not ranking them from the best to the worst or anything. These are just the 20 that I found that, you know, I've ordered their CD. I got some of their CDs coming in, some of them on vinyl. Some of they didn't have vinyl or CD, so I just bought the digital album or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. So this is kind of like that record store where I click on bands and it's like, wow, cool. Then I look and see where I could buy the record at, or, you know, luckily some of them are on Amazon, which is cool because then you get it right there. You get it within a couple of days or a week or so. Whereas if you order from the Bandcamp, which is great, I'm going to put all the Bandcamps in the description for these bands that we talk about, and you can order what you like. If you see something here, if I turned you on to something, and in the comments, heck, leave me some bands that I should check out. You know, some that you're talking about, these new wave of traditional heavy metal bands. There's also which I might do a show on that, the new wave of old school thrash metal, and because there's some really good stuff on there too. The reason why I ended up putting these bands like the Castle Rat and Void in my 20 of this that I'm talking about, and even Savage Master, is because, for one, I've already gotten their albums, and plus these are 2025 releases, Void and Castle Rat, so they're going to be in my end of the year top 20 albums of 2025, which is basically all of the records I've bought in over 2025. More like, you know, like the bands like that came out, like you know, Scorpions got a live album that came out. I might put that in there, even though I might not do Scorpions because it's a live album. But, you know, like just all the new releases like that came out this year of all the bands that everyone knows about, I guess. So but my mind's going blank as to, I know Alice Cooper, the Revenge of Alice Cooper, that's one that's high up on my list. So Castle Rat and Void, they made that top 20, just so I can't tell you where I put it yet. And that list I do rank from the best to the worst, you know, or the worst to the best, or the less liked to the most liked, as you say. There's no worst album. They're all great albums. So yeah, so again, this is like kind of like a record store online. And there's one thing I wonder about. I don't know, maybe someone could tell me, are there festivals? Because, you know, like music festivals are huge, right? So especially the big ones we see every year, the Wacken and all the main ones. I've seen a few of these bands on some of those festivals, but I think it would be great. And maybe there already is, but I just haven't heard of one. But a festival of just these bands, like every year or something, or maybe even like an Ozfest type thing where they tour and maybe 10 or 15, maybe even 20 of these top bands that have like the most views or whatever. I guess it would cost money and everything. You'd have to make sense financially, but I just think it would be badass if that was just a festival of just these bands and they just kept doing it like every year or something like that. And a lot of these bands are on some good labels. High Roller Records, that's what Creatures is on. Another band called Raven Fire I discovered, which they're going to be on my list that we're going to talk about. And I reached out to them to get them on the show, and it looks like they're going to do it. We just got to work out some days and times because they're from Madrid, Spain. And yeah, so they were cool to get back to me on that. So look for that interview soon. I even reached out to a band called Wings of Steel. Really good band. We'll talk about them. They're really busy prepping for their tour, so they can't really commit to any interviews right now. And they say, okay, I'll check back with you maybe in the new year or sometime in the new year when things calm down and we can work something out. But I did let them know that, I'm going to be mentioning them on this channel because, yeah, I'm out of breath. I'm so excited. Yeah. But this is my passion, you know, rock, metal, music in general. Just, you know, I like all different styles of music or whatever, but I grew up on this rock and metal, and I love seeing that these bands are young and they're just carrying this torch of this style of music. And it's just like, in a way to where they're honoring the traditional sound of heavy metal, but they're doing it in a way to where it doesn't sound dated, and they're doing it in a way where it doesn't sound like, oh, this is just a parody. I've seen some bands that do that where it kind of comes across as just parody. I'm not going to say nothing bad. I like Burning Witches, but sometimes it's a little over the top, some of the things they do, and it kind of makes me feel like they're just trying to be metal, like in the 80s metal or something. But they're a good band. I mean, as a matter of fact, they made my top 20 with their newest album. But yeah, but I'm just saying, but a lot of these bands I've been listening to over the past few months or even longer is that they do it in a way where it just sounds like this music never ended. This music just continued on from the time when I was a teenager up until I got my adulthood, and when the music scene was changing, when the mainstream metal was like grunge to like new metal and whatever it is these days or whatever. You know, because there's so many different genres. That we got metalcore and deathcore and screamcore and, you know, digent or whatever it is called, and, you know, there's all these different types of hardcore and all this stuff like that, which is all good stuff, like I said. But I love the traditional. I love the riffs, this type of singing, the melodies. I mean, some of these bands I've discovered, like, they're just so creative with their melodies, like a band like Actor, which is AKTOR, and I don't think they're the only band named that, because I did a search on them, and there's like a few other bands called Actor, but this is like this band here. They're from Finland and the US, and I saw an interview with the guy, and we'll get into that. So I don't want to jump the gun here, but anyway, let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about the first band I discovered. Well, not to say it's the first band I discovered, but the first band I'm going to talk about. Again, this is just going through the list. I'm not ranking them. There's no one better, no one worse. These are all just great sounding bands that I've became a fan of, and going to buy their music, and I've bought some of the music already. I still got to order Wings of Steel. So Wings of Steel is the band I'm talking about. Their new album called Winds of Time. Actually, I did order their CD, I believe, or I think they're the ones that went on Bandcamp yesterday and got their stuff. So got something coming from them. Either about the whatever you call it, the digital download. So Wings of Steel. Okay, that's what they look like. I did some notes on them. They're a Los Angeles-based band. They're from, you know, that's where I'm from, is LA. They're basically founded by vocalist Leo Unamark and guitarist Parker Halub. The lineup has included Stefan Baillet on rhythm guitar, Mathieu Trebek on bass, and Marcel Bender on drums. Old school metal sound, independent releases. Bandcamp, they have, you know, Bandcamp. So I don't know if they're on a record label or not. I'd have to check that out. Because like I said, some of these bands are on like High Roller Records, and there's also one called No Remorse Records, which is a really good label. But let me see. I gotta get some. Let's play a clip of some of their music. So I want to. There's a couple of clips I want to play on these guys for you. Let me find it here. Trying to run a board and play music at the same time. This called Wings of Steel. Now, just listen to the vocalist. I mean, and the way he phrases. I mean, you're going to hear some familiarities, and I want to let me know in the comments who you think he sounds like a little bit. Obviously, he sounds like himself, but he's not trying to rip anybody off. But who he's kind of like up there with. I like that. Like I said, I think Tony Harnell from TNT almost a little bit, I guess, but he's really high, man. But here, listen to this when he sings this song. It's called We Rise, and it starts out mellow, but listen to the cadence of his voice. I mean, you're gonna hear some Dio in there. You're gonna hear, I mean, it's just really You can almost hear that he's probably influenced by Dio in there somewhere. Like, who isn't influenced by Dio, right? I mean, that fucking
I used to be a dreamer. I walked in plains of gold, saw beauty in the eyes of everyone. Now I walk in strange lands. My heart has turned to stone.
He does that like that, like kind of that Dio move a little bit, but I mean, just his voice is so freaking like it's like silk, you know, and it's just yeah. I mean, this guy is a highly I don't know if he's had lessons or whatever, maybe he took opera or whatever, but he's very well trained in vocaling, maybe even self-taught and maybe just a natural gift. Here's another thing I wanted to show you, like him singing. They're doing an acoustic set I found. And his voice here really shines. And the whole band is just great. I mean, the guitar playing is great on this. I mean, the bass, the guitars, everything. Just the songwriting is smart. It's intelligent as far as the way they arrange the pieces and the way they just hit you right with the chorus when it needs to come in. The hooks are there. But yeah, check this out. Oh, and their stage performers. I mean, they look good. They look like a band that you want to go see in concert. And to me, that's very important. I don't like guys that just look like they woke up out of bed and just like, oh, fuck it, man. Or you know, or you can't pick them out of a crowd of a million people or 10 people. So, unless you're really like, if you're gonna look like that, you better be really good musically and performance wise. Anyway, here we go.
Standing by my window, breathing summer breeze, saw a figure floating neath the willow tree.
That's amazing, right? I mean, that's that Judas Priest song. I think that Dream Deceivers or something like that. Yeah, I mean, some great band. Check them out. So go to their Bandcamp. I'm going to put the link in there. If you like what you hear, check them out, man. And you know, like I said, always support these bands because again, we're looking for those bands that are going to carry the torch and they're young. You know, look at guys like Bruce Dickinson and Rob Halford out there, 70 years old, you know, still doing it and everything. So these bands are on their way. Obviously, you see them getting tons of subscribers and views. We're in a different world now than it used to be because we're in a world where everybody is online doing music. So you got to weed through the, you know, whatever you don't like and get to the good stuff, right? The stuff that you do like. This next band blew my mind. They're so unique. I'm always thinking like they kind of sound like they wouldn't fit on this new wave of traditional heavy metal because they kind of have they're called Actor, AK. Let me see here. I'm gonna pull up a picture of them. I'm gonna keep scrolling this shit. Anyway, the album cover is called Actor Presents Professori Season 2. This is a 2025 release. And I guess they do some kind of cool thing where it's a concept album. And I looked on their Bandcamp and they don't have a season 1. So this is this. And I guess what this is, because I guess there are 2 guys from Finland, and then there's a guy, the singer, I believe, is from America. And let me give these little notes on this band. They're an international heavy rock metal project formed by Chris Professor Black in the U.S., working with Finnish musicians Jussi Lutasalo, I'm going to butcher the name, sorry, Tommy Laponen, psychedelic tinge 70s influence, heavy rock metal, and I guess they're on electro records or something like that. I like when I went to their Facebook page, it was like, we make weird music for weird people. And so I guess, and I was also watching an interview with the singer, and basically said, like, I guess the concept of this album is based on Scandinavian detective shows, because every song has like, it's talking about some kind of mystery, like who done it type of thing, and you get into the words really cool. So let's check out the music. Here's what they, the only photo I found of them was on their Facebook, and it's this. So I don't know if that's them. Again, one guy's from the US, the other two from Finland. I don't know how they put that photo together. Maybe it's something else. Kind of almost like a little bit of Devo to me, like, you know, some of it, the voice a little bit has a little bit of a Devo sound, but their arrangements are so kind of rhythmically strange, but cool in a way where it's catchy but unique at the same time. And the guitar, the way it's mixed, you'll hear the guitars kind of going left and right, which is really cool. And it's just, every song just has something like, you're like, whoa, what the hell did they do there? What the hell did they do on that song? You know, but check this out. Let's see, let me find it. The video. Gotta do some scrolling here. Bear with me, people. This is called Nemesis.
Above the street where the beasts are unleashed to feast upon man. Outside the flats where the rats are packed to attack on command. Take a drive to the other side where evil keeps its lair, washing clean its riches there in a comfortable chair with a menacing stare. I am not the one behind your partner's tape.
I love that melody right there. Just almost kind of, it's like the Killers a little bit, but like almost like kind of like ghosting into the Killers, kind of the kind of melody that they kind of do on their songs that are more kind of mainstream sounding. But yeah, I just love the uniqueness of it, because I love songs that are kind of weird in the verse and then it gets into a catchy like kind of chorus or whatever. I love songs that do that. I try to do that myself as a songwriter for the music I do and stuff. And yeah, really cool. So get out there and get Actor, spelled with a K, Aktor. Now be careful when you just go to their Bandcamp, and that's the best way to find them, or even on Facebook, because like I said, when you look up Actor, there's even on like Spotify or on iTunes, when I tried to pull up their album on iTunes, there was like so many different, there's a rapper Actor, they're spelled the same way. I think there's a pop band that's spelled the same way. So yeah, so you just got to sort of fish around a little bit, but you'll find them. And then I think you'll thank me later. Now, the next band I'm going to talk about is Creatures. I had the guitar player on my show. This band I discovered, they're just so damn good. They're from Brazil. Let me look at the notes here. They're from Kiritaba, and Mathis is the guitar player I had on. You know, he likes his name pronounced exactly the same way, even though it looks like Matthias, but it's Mathis. And he's a guitar player and the founder. Mark Brito on vocals. So again, I told you it was on Hellway Train. We'll talk about Matheus Cantillano on guitars. He's the main songwriter, the main producer. Ricky Nunez on bass, and then Sidney Dubuello on drums. I think I forgot what he called him. Something with something about Grand Theft Auto, like because he plays Grand Theft Auto 5 all the time or something. And they're on High Roller Records, what I was talking about. So yeah, they're called Creature. And here's what they look like, you know, just kind of give you an idea what they look like. You know, I love the colors that they use, purples and blacks and the greens. That's what really drew me to them. Again, when you're looking at these JPEGs of a record and you think, wow, that looks interesting. You know, there used to be a band in LA called Creature on the Sunset Strip when I first moved there in '90, but they were around in the early '80s and stuff, and they were like theatrical, but they were called Creature. When I saw them for the first time, I was like, is this the same band? Maybe they just put an S on the end because maybe they got back together with new members or something. But no, it was a totally different band. These are from Brazil. So let's check out one of their songs, which you probably have seen a lot of. And this band, I believe, a lot of these bands, I told, like especially Wings of Steel, that band's going places. And I believe Creature's an Actor too, if they could just get that recognition that they deserve. All these bands, if they get the recognition they deserve, it's just get through all this mainstream muck that we're in right now and just get through these bands. That's why I'm doing this, to turn you on to some new stuff. Hopefully it spreads like COVID did in 2020, but not lethal like that. Anyway. bad is that? Now, one thing that makes that song really work really well, and I should have gave a little bit more credit when I was talking to Mathis is the drums and the bass. I mean, it's just so like in the pocket, and just the way it's arranged in that song, that's what's making that song hit the way it does. And then obviously when it drops, and then you got just that lone guitar coming in before the verse comes in, it's just like, but just that rhythm that the rhythm section is holding is just so amazing, and that's what's making that song really, really pop the way it does. So yeah, Creature, hope you like that. Next band is Rave on Fire. Now their song that they have out now is they don't have a full album out right now. It's coming out in 2026, which I pre-ordered, and they're called Raven Fire. They're from Madrid, Spain. They're female fronted. They also got a female, I think, guitarist or bass player there. Really good. I mean, wait till you see the video I'm going to play for you. And that's what another thing I like about these bands, just like what you saw Creature and even like Wings of Steel, is how much work they put into their music videos. I mean, it's almost like, that's what I was asking Mathis, is like, what kind of budget are you guys working with? I mean, is the label helping you with this or what? I can't remember what he said about it, but anyway, it's like they're putting so much work in these videos, which is another thing that we're missing in a lot of, like, I mean, there's a lot of videos on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of bands are releasing videos. Sometimes they'll do the lazy thing and do the whole AI video or something like that. But these bands, they got a set going on, they're a script and everything. Like shit, Creatures put out a song called "Beware the Creatures." If you look up that on YouTube, and it's like a little movie, and it's looking badass. And that album is like, I got the CD coming in, Creatures CD. Just go back to Creatures for a little bit. I got that CD coming in on tomorrow, which is Monday, yeah. And then I pre-ordered the vinyl, which I guess is getting to me in February. So yeah, I got it on CD and vinyl. And that's going to be on heavy rotation when I get it, definitely. But Raven Fire, I reached out to this band on Facebook, on their Facebook page, and asked if they'd like to come on my show and do interviews. And they said yes. We just got to work out his time zone. They're like 11 hours ahead of me. So I did shoot them some times. I'm just waiting for a response, and hopefully we can get them on the show and learn more about them. But yeah, that's what they look like. Let me play a little clip of their music here. Now, just in case, when I say I'm going to play a clip, and if you don't hear it or you don't see it, it's probably because during the editing or when I uploaded it, YouTube said it's blocked or whatever, and I had to edit it out or something. So just beware if it looks weird that I come back and say, yeah, how was that? And then, I didn't see nothing. So anyway, I'll do my best. Hopefully nothing gets blocked so far. Usually I'll get like a copyright, it'll say owner gives permission to use or whatever. So hopefully that's the case with most of these clips that I play. So here's Raven Fire. I love that rhythm play. The guitar sound almost sounds like very like Dio, very Vivian Campbell sounding. Like I pulled up this clip. This song is called "Shout." This is, I guess, from their last album or something like that. So. I just want to show you that just for the guitar sound. Does that sound very Dio? Like it's like something off the song is called Shout, and it almost sounds like, you know, there's like the Dio song Shout, or Shout It Out, or Shout, whatever the title is. I'm bad with song titles, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, a little bit of notes on them. Again, they're from Spain, and a Spanish heavy melodic hard rock band formed around founders Jaime and pronounce that right, like Jaime and Juanjo. Juanjo. Here's a white guy in me, like, you know, the white person from Portland. Juan Joe, John Joe, and Jamie. No. Jaime and Wano. Later lineups include singer Celine. Oh, I guess so Celine and bassist Sarah. So I guess they're like the newest additions, but it was pronounced by founders Jaime and Wano. I guess those are the two guys in the band. And then singer Celine and bassist Sarah. They're probably not gonna want to come on my show now that I butchered their names. Sorry, guys and gals. 80s inspired heavy metal, recent releases on Abound via High Roller Records, another High Roller Records band, again, like Creatures. And I really love this band. I've become a fan. I became a fan right after I heard them. I was like, holy shit, where have I been missing this? So, and what I like about this too, this discovery of these bands, is be able to go back and see their catalog, you know, and the rest of their catalog. It's like, damn, I missed that in 2021 or 2022, or you know. And a lot of these bands are like less than 10 years old. A lot of them are, you know, like they formed in 2015 or 2012 or whatever, you know. So that was kind of cool. Now this next band is a power metal band. They're called Steel Arctis. They're from Greece. I've noticed a lot of great bands on this NWOTHM channel. Most of the bands, when I click on it, it says Greece. I know I'm going to, usually when you see the word Greece or Germany, you know, you're going to hear some really kick-ass metal. And so far, there's a lot of Greece bands from Greece that sound really good. They're a heavy metal outfit from Thessaloniki. So I'm really bad with these. I should have thought twice before doing this show. Can I have a bad pronunciation of different countries and names and things? I have a speech impediment, so it's bad enough trying to pronounce this stuff. Testos Lazaris on vocals, Nash G on guitars, and Strutter on bass. So that name is easy. Minis and Katzmaninis on drums. Self-release indie label. All right, so they're called Steel. I'm going to show you a pic of them real quick. Steel Arctis. Here's the album cover. All right. And I saw on their Facebook, they got mentioned in Metal Hammer, I believe. I think it's the magazine, which is congrats on that, guys. I hope to have you on my show. I'm going to reach out to you soon and get you on the show. That's what the band looks like. You know, they look like a cool band right there. And even saw like some photos where they look like they're really good on stage, good stage presence. I should have pulled up a video, but I didn't. Anyway, so let's play a little sample of their music. It's like power metal. And, you know, I'm not really a big fan of power metal other than Halloween but like bands like Powerwolf, I can't get into, or those bands that do the whole pirate thing. I can't really get into those bands. Or when they get too over the top, like almost sound like Broadway or Disney, metal Disney or something, where it's like they're putting on this big production with pirates and ho, ho, ho type of stuff going on, you know. But this band doesn't do that, you know, which I thankfully. But it just every song was just hitting when I was going through the record. And so let me play a clip of them. This song is called Defender of Steel. Yeah, good vocals. I mean, it's very powerful when it kicks in, like almost like an Aim on the Marth a little bit, but without the Cookie Monster vocals, which I love those kind of vocals. I'm not making fun of it. But it's good production. I mean, these bands sound like they should already be like selling out arenas and shit. Look at Aim on the Marth. Those guys are selling out arenas. So all it takes is one of these bands to to latch onto one of those tours and just really take off. Like I could see Castle Rap, you know, watching some of their live clips. I could actually see them doing that kind of stuff next year, the year, maybe even, probably most likely next year. Maybe it might take a year or two, but I could see them doing that kind of business or that type of money. Yeah, where they're touring arenas and just putting on this really big stage show production. So, and then Void, I mean, great band right there. Check out Void. I mean, they're like, I didn't pull up any video or music because you can find them easily. But they're like old school, very Testament sounding, which is really great. But Defenders of Steel, Steel Arctis, really good. Get out there and check that album out. Again, just, you know, I'm going to put the band camps in the links and to support what you like, you know, and again, turn me on to something as well. I'm open to that. This next band, they actually really got me going as far as like, wow, this band is going play. And not only that, I've seen them, they have been playing some festivals, and it looks like they've been playing to some pretty big crowds. They released a single this year called Midnight Blitz, and I guess the album's coming out in February. But I was going back and listening to their back catalog. They're called Tail Gunner. Let me show you kind of what they look like here. Tail Gunner. This is the album that they're going to be releasing in February, called Midnight Blitz. You know, I'm always curious, like, who does the artwork for a lot of these bands. I don't think, maybe some of them might use AI or whatever, but maybe like the artwork to the Steel Actis. I mean, that looks like a comic book artist that I'm familiar with. I collect comic books and stuff, and that artist looks familiar. I'd be curious to see who does the artwork on that. Maybe I should look on their Bandcamp. But here's what look at that. That looks like a band. They're playing the Hella Rock Festival. They played it in May. They're playing it in 2026. I don't know where that's at. Probably overseas somewhere. I think and this band is from the UK. Very young. You know, they got, I think it's 4 guys, 1 girl on guitar. Very good stage presence. I mean, and I was listening to their stuff from like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's like, the singer, if it's the same singer, which I'm sure it is, he looks like he's like 18 here, so he must have been like 15 when, and he sounds amazing back then. He sounds amazing now. But just to give you a little back history, English new wave of traditional heavy metal band formed by bassist Tom Newson. Current lineup is Tom Hewson bass, Craig Kearns vocals. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Craig is a newer singer, but I'll have to go back and research that. Zach Savini on guitars, and then Rhea Thompson on guitar, and then Eddie Mariotti on drums. And they're on Fire Flash Records, Napalm as well. Oh, they just got signed to Napalm Records. Now, you know you're doing some good stuff when you're signed to Napalm. All right, so that's a band to look out for. Let's play a clip of that stuff right from there. You probably already seen this video, and you're probably already familiar with them. Matter of fact, I think they've been mentioned on Eddie Trunk. Eddie Trunk does a thing where like people call in and talk about bands that are new that people should listen to and check out, and they came up, and I think that's where I first heard them. I was like, Telga, that's a cool sounding name. Let me look them up, and then boom, they were on this channel, and that's when I kind of really got hip to them. So let me play the video. Tail Gunner. That badass or what? I mean, look at the way they dress. I mean, they have that's the look right there. I mean, this band is going places. I mean, I think out of all these bands, I know Creatures is up there going places. Also, I mentioned Kesselreck, Wings of Steel is going places, and the other ones are too. But I mean, like, when you see that a band that has that it factor, which is, you know, like I said, 1 in every dozen of bands, this band has definitely got that it factor. Them, Creatures, like who I mentioned, Wings of Steel. These bands have that it factor. Now it's just a matter of playing as many shows get exposed out there as much as possible, doing podcasts, doing the internet as much as possible, and just which they're already on their way to doing all that, which is great. So yeah, Tell Gunner. I imagine they're Iron Maiden fans, obviously, and maybe the song came from the Iron Maiden song from the No Prayers for the Dying record. So if anything came from that record, which I know a lot of people don't really like that record from Iron Maiden, but if one good thing came from it, it inspired a great young metal band called Tell Gunner, if that's where they got their name from. Anyway, so let's move on to this band called Hellway Train. Remember, I mentioned him a little earlier. The singer, Mathis, when I did an interview with him, he turned me on to this band. It's his singer's band, I guess his other project, and I guess he formed this band from what I understand. Hellway Train, they're from Brazil as well. Belo Horizonte hard rock, classic metal revival band founded by Mark Hellway. He goes by Mark Hellway here, but on Creatures he goes by Mark Brito. And Vicious Tham on Vinicus Thram includes Mark Halloway on vocals, Vinicius Tham on guitar. Oh, it was formed by, I'm sorry, let me back that up. Formed by Mark Hellway and Vinicius Thram. And the lineup is Mark Hellway, Vinicius Thram on guitar, Chris May on bass, and John Albert on drums. Independent underground release. I'm not sure if they're on the label. They might. Who knows if they're going to be on High Roller Records as well, since Creatures is on there. They got a definitely good shot of being signed. I think they should already be signed if they're not already. Let me show you what they look like here. Hellway Train. There's like one photo basically of them. And that guy second from the second on the center. I'm bad with left or right, but anyway, that's Brito or Hellway. In the center, but on the left. Oh man, I need a compass. Anyway. And then let's check out their song. Okay. Hellway Train. Where is it at? Get to the videos here. Bear with me. All right. Now, tell me who his voice sounds like. We made a joke of like Creature. Sometimes he sounds like Lizzie Borden, and Mathis was like, "No, he hates Lizzie Borden." Like, oh man, you're a really good singer when you get compared to a really, really good singer, and you say, "Oh, I don't like to be compared to that." But like, you're a really good singer when you're so confident in yourself that he's like, "No, not even," But and he every right to be confident because the guy's an amazing vocalist. So, but here's who you can tell he's really influenced by, and I'm sure you'll hear it. Very Rob Halford, Painkiller era of Rob Halford. And as a matter of fact, they do a song called by Judas Priest. If you go on the YouTube, they do Jawbreaker, and he does an amazing job on that. Yeah, great band. I mean, go check them out. Hellway Train. So like Highway Train or Crazy Train is Hellway Train. You're on the Hellway. You're on the train to hell. You still with me? What do you think so far? You like did I turn you into something new? Or you've already seen it and you're glad that I mentioned them because you're already a fan before. Let me know in the comments and all that good stuff. And always like and subscribe, as all the influencers say. Got to stay within the parameters of the YouTube community. This next band, Haunt. I guess they've been around for a while. And matter of fact, I used to see their stuff around, and I clicked on them before and liked them or whatever. But I really, really like them this time around after really digging into them. And they're called Haunt. And let me see here. They're from USA. They're from Fresno, California. I'm from Atwater, Merced. My first concert was in Fresno at Selland Arena in 1984. I saw Bark at the Moon, Ozzy Osbourne on the Bark at the Moon tour. Seeing Jakey Lee made me want to play guitar. I went home to my grandma and said, "Buy me a guitar." And then I joined the band, and we moved to Hollywood, got signed, all that good stuff, and did all that. I did my time in the music, which was a great time, but unfortunately, addiction took me out. But I'm doing stuff now sober. I'm going to be 14 years sober on December 23rd, and it's never been better. Like, I create better music, I produce better music for myself, and all that good stuff. So anyway, and I fell back in love with music as far as my passion for it. In 2019, I bought a record, a vinyl record, bought a record player, and ever since then, I've just been, because I lost everything in LA, before I moved here to Portland, Oregon. So it took me a while to really get back into everything, especially being sober. So anyway, enough about me. This band Haunt is from Fresno, California, and a traditional metal project led by Trevor William Church. I've been watching some of his videos. He does some really cool tutorial videos and talks about, gives tips to bands and things like that, which is really cool. He's got, he's set up by his studio. If you go to their channel, you can see some cool videos by him. Originally a solo project. Live current members include Andy Lee on guitar, Andy Solidate on drums, and releases are on Shadow Kingdom and Church Recordings. I've heard of the Shadow Kingdom label. I've seen a few bands on that. Let me show you what they look like, if you'll bear with me. Haunt. Okay, here's what their album, the newest album, which I don't think I'm if I ordered it or not yet. I gotta, I can't just order these bands the minute I see them and love them, because I gotta, money. But they're in I got this wish list, and I got this list of albums I'm going to buy as I get money. So, I blow a lot of money on records and music. So anyway, Haunt, Ignite, that's definitely on my list to buy. And here's what they look like. I think the guy in the middle is a drummer, even though he's kind of looks like he'd be the singer. And I think the guy next to him on the right is the singer. And then you got the guitar player to his left with the Satan shirt. Yeah, so the Angel Witch guy's shirt, that's the singer. And then you got I think he's a guitar player with Satan. And then you think the bass player there, fixing his hair and all that good stuff, or putting the hair out of his eyes so you can see the camera. But yeah, great looking band right there. Those guys look like they could play. So let's play a little bit of their song. This song is called Soaring Through the Ages. Smart use of the melody there. It was very, it was like, it sound like it could be on the radio if radio still existed, which it does, but you know what I mean? As far as that's a radio song right there, and just the melody is just a beautiful melody over top of that. One thing I wanted to touch base on, just to go back to Hellway Star, was how powerful that guitar and stuff was, and just the arrangement of that song was just amazing. I'd be curious to see what their songwriting process is like, as well as Hunt's. I mean, these guys, like I said, these bands are just they're young and they're powerful and they're great. They did their homework. Whoever inspired them, obviously they're younger than me. They're probably 20 years younger than me or so like that. But I'm sure their parents, maybe their parents got them into stuff, or and if they did, that's great parenting right there, you know. But obviously they probably just. I think I saw an interview with Tail Gunner, and the kids were saying that the one guy was asking, like, yeah, how'd you get into music that I listened to, that I grew up in the 80s? You like this old guy like me or whatever. And the kid was like, oh, he's like, well, we just got, you know, the stuff that was out at the time when we were teenagers or whatever, or younger. It's just it's garbage. So, I mean, when we discovered Dio and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, like, that's the music we want to play. And so, yeah, that's what I love to hear. Yeah. But, you know, again, there's kids getting inspired by the new stuff like Motionless in White and Maneskin and those kind of bands, and that's great. Just whatever inspires a kid to, like, that's because that's one thing I always wonder, like, do kids still get inspired to want to play guitar or write music when they hear something that inspires them, you know, like we did when we were teens? It's like, oh my god, like I saw Jakey Lee, I don't need to play guitar. Like, is there a kid that's like watches Maneskin and says like, oh man, that bass player's she's so fucking badass on bass, I want to play bass like her, you know? Yeah, so the next band is called Skull and Crossbones. Now, these guys look like they've been on the scene for a while. Let me see what they look like here. A couple of guys look like they've been in bands over the years, but they're definitely again, they're playing the traditional metal and young and stuff like that. Young singer. And I don't mean to emphasize on young and old and all that stuff like that, but I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that, like, it's cool to see bands that are younger and even guys who are my age or whatever still doing this kind of music, you know, as far as just keeping the traditional metal sound alive, you know, and not going with the trends and going with whatever's hip. But this is their album. I ordered this album, Skull and Crossbones, called Time. Let me give you a little bit of history. I believe they're from where are they from? From Germany. So again, you never go wrong when you hear bands from Germany. Their heavy power metal band. Members listed across sources include Tobias Hubner. They don't really say who's playing what, but they're on Massacre Records, Volker Schmidtau, Baran Henning, and others associated with Massacre Records for recent releases. So yeah, I want to dig a little bit more into their history. Be cool to get them on the show as well. But their music's really good. This song is called Labyrinth of Time.
Lost in the verses of a never-ending fading song, and the labyrinth of time.
How was that? That fucking vocal right there. Like, whoa. No, that's really good. And here I did pull up a video of theirs just so you can kind of get an idea what they're like, you know, when they perform. Pretty good. I guess the guy with the long blonde hair was a drummer, which I was thinking he was like the bass player. He looks like a bass player. You know, like some musicians look like they would play a certain instrument. I did not think drummer when I saw him. I thought one of the bald guys was the drummer. But anyway, amazing sounding. Fuck, man. So many good bands out there. Get out there and discover this stuff. You know, like I said, band camps are going to be in the description and all that good stuff. And then another band I came across called Hounds. Now, this band is kind of tricky when you're trying to look it up because there's a lot of different bands. There's a hardcore band named Hounds. There's a punk band named Hounds. So you really have to sort of like, the best thing to do is go on and just look up their album called Rise of the Immortals, like on Bandcamp, and then you'll pull up the right Hounds. This band is from the USA. They're a power metal band blending classic USPM aggression. What does USPM stand for? Oh, I guess United States Power Metal. Aggression with European melodic power influences. Their sound features soaring vocals, twin guitar harmonies, galloping rhythms, and epic methodological themes, drawing comparisons to like Manila, which is a good band, prog rock band. Or no, Manila Road, never heard of them. Jag Panzer, obviously you've heard of them. Blind Guardian, so yeah. But Rise of the Mortals is their more recent album that's out this year, and yeah, I'm gonna definitely get their record. Let me see what they look like here. Hounds. Okay, I'm not gonna pull this up. So yeah, this is the album cover. So if you see this album cover, then you know you got the right band. Because like I said, there's a lot of different Hounds, and then I guess it's like the only picture I could find on their Bandcamp. Because I tried to look them up on Facebook, and there's too many different Hounds that so I had trouble finding them on. Well, I think I did find them once I went to their Bandcamp, because if you look under community, then it has their actual Facebook page. So yeah, and that picture was on there. So yeah, but that's what they look like. They're from Germany. Again, you can. Hey, it looks like that one. What's that one comedian? He's on YouTube. The guy with the glasses. Well, I guess they all have glasses, but the guy on the far right there. God, what's the comedian's name? Anyway, it'll come to me. So let's check out their song. These guys are like very like heavy, like Viking sounding, like, you know, like it says power metal. Rise of the Immortals is the name of this song. So let's see what it sounds like. I like those vocals. They sound almost like Graham Bonnet, kind of like, right? I was thinking, was this Alcatraz? No. But yeah, that was really good. I like that. I love the build up, the heaviness of it. You know, it's got a rawness to it, where it's like kind of raw, but well produced at the same time. You know, which I like to hear. I love to hear that in a metal song. The next band, we're moving on here. Get out there and get Hounds, but make sure you find the right one. Again, there's a lot of bands called Hounds, and doesn't mean I'm not disparaging their name. I'm thinking it's a cool name, but I don't know. There's got to be some kind of way to differentiate that from the other bands that are Hound, and hopefully they can rise above like the Immortals or the Mortals or whatever. The other mortal Hounds, you know, rise above them all, and they'll be the ones that reign supreme. This next band is called Dragon's Claw. You probably heard of them. Their album is called Moving Target, just released this year. I think I do have a picture of the band yet. Now you'll recognize the guy on the far left, second from the left or whatever. He's got his hands on that broken down vehicle there. That's Giles Lavery. Now he's the current singer for Alcatraz, and he's also in a few other bands. He manages Alcatraz and I think Girls School. So I mean, this guy's he's got a lot of history in music in the metal world and everything. I became aware of him when he was on this other YouTube show, which I love, a big fan of, is called The Metal Voice. And as a matter of fact, is one of the shows that kind of inspired me to start doing this as well. That along with a couple other channels that I used to watch. But Giles Lavery, he'd go on that show every now and then, and he would, commentary and stuff like that. And I always liked his commentary. He's very straight, opinionated, and to the point about things. And then I discovered that his vocals and music, because he did the theme for The Metal Voice, and I was like, damn, this motherfucker could sing. And so I went and checked out a lot of his music with his other band. It's a band called Warlord. He started singing for them, and I bought that album. It's a 2024 release. And that's a really good album that actually made my top 20 last year. I think it was number 7 or something like that. But yeah, Giles Lavery, and he's doing such an incredible job in Alcatraz. I mean, get that new Alcatraz album that, what's it called again? It's on my top 20. I'm really bad with titles. Something, still on probation or something. No, Prior Convictions. Anyway, it's really good because they re-record the classic Alcatraz songs from the No Parole for Rock and Roll album, and it's like he's fucking hitting those Graham Bonnet notes like crazy, man, because I don't think anybody else could do it like how he does. But anyway, let's check out this band of his called Dragon's Claw he's singing for. And so I'm not sure. Let's look at a little bit of the notes on them though. So they're from Sydney, Australia. Power epic metal band formed in 2010. And founders include Ben Thomas, Giles Lavery. So Giles Lavery is one of the founders of this band. And the current recorded lineup and releases, and they're on High Roller Records as well, which is cool. I think Giles has his own record label. It's kind of weird that he would not sign with his own record label. But I guess why not sign to a different label? But I guess I don't know how it works. But anyway, let's check out their song called "The Road Beneath Your Wheels." Really good stuff, man. I'm going to get this record as well. I haven't ordered it yet, but it's in my list of records to order this next couple of weeks. There's a Jimmy from the Metal Voice I was telling you about. They're all good friends, and I got them all on my Facebook and everything. That's Jimmy. He's got his acting debut in here. How's that? You like that? Yeah, I do too, man. Again, let's check out the album cover. Dragon's Claw, moving target. Got a cool cover. That whatever that creature is stalking them. So get out there and get Dragon's Claw. Here we are, hour into the show. We're at, I think I did so far. What is this, number 11? Or we've gone through 10 already. So we got 10 more to go through. It's gonna be a 2-hour show probably. But I'll try to move it a little bit faster. Sorry. Midnight Vice is another band to keep an eye out on. I think these kids are whatever these young guys are going places. They're another band that does really great music videos. And if you look at their older music, I'm going to show you what they look like here. Midnight Vice. They just put out this song. I guess the album. I think there's an album coming out next year, but this is a single. But go back and check out their earlier stuff as well. Really good. Look, good looking band there. Iron Maiden. They got the Battle Jackets. Got the Judas Priest. LA Guns. One of my favorite bands. So yeah, so really good, and their videos are super cool. I mean, the singer, another powerhouse vocalist. I'm gonna rank up there with kind of, if you were to put him up with Sebastian Bach on the Skid Row days, just his vocals. I mean, it's like this guy has it, man. And so let's check out their video. First of all, let's look at a little bit of notes on them. Midnight Vice, Florida-based melodic hard rock heavy project. Metal Archives lists them as members as Dennis O'Sullivan on the drums, and Sean Bean on guitars, and Tyler Gray on vocals, but they don't really mention who's on bass or drums, which I imagine Sean Bean probably plays the bass. And then they probably, when they go out and play tours or on shows, they probably get, I'm sure they got a bass player right now. I don't think I highly doubt they're the kind of band that would play tracks or play to a recorded bass. None of these bands, that's the beauty about these bands. I don't think any of these bands are using AI or anything or playing tracks or nothing like that. Now, I did use AI for my intro. You know, I don't mind using for I wrote those lyrics, but I just used because, you know, on the flyer, and it's only 20 seconds, but I just wanted something kind of cool, catchy sounding. And I have no problem with using AI if you're transparent about it. I would never do it as far as like, I would never write a song and or use a AI as a song and say, oh, check out my new single. I wrote everything. And like I've seen people do that. That's just like, that's got to fucking go. Or get a record deal off of fake music. No. But, you know, I could see it where it could be like a tool. If you're on the fly, you're on a crunch time and you need something really quick for like a 30-second piece of a film or something like that, then I don't see why not. But anyway, that's just my take on AI, because it's here to stay. You just got to learn to live with it, learn to work with it in the way it's gonna, you know, otherwise it'll just eat you alive if you don't. But I would never rely on it as a crutch. But anyway, let's check out Midnight Vice, a totally real live band. But this is their video that's been making the rounds on YouTube. I've been seeing the views getting higher and higher every time. Every time I click on it, there's like more people watching it. So here is Midnight Vice.
Stop my spirits calling out my name. I don't wanna hear a word to say. If you ever tired for me, open my heart with it. If you don't make your wrongs someday. On this stage, I tell no lies. Say you've been born forever. In the heat of the night, our souls are built in the morning light. Mystic eyes in disguise.
You know, that right there is a hit. I mean, that's like I said, I mean, that they sound like they're already playing the big fucking arenas and shit. They already look like they're performing in the big arenas. That's a band that has great stage presence, and just like I said, I mean, wow. That's what we're missing in rock and metal these days, man. Like as far as the mainstream goes. You know, when you see the Grammys and they're same bands every year, they just kind of cherry pick whatever's Gojira, Mastodon, which, you know, those are all good bands or whatever, but there's just, you know, bands like Hellstorm, I think it is, and which are good bands for that, but it just they're so industry like. They're just so like they have a formula that they stick with, and they all just look like they all hang out at the same kind of clubs where it's like you're kind of ritzy and you're above everyone else, but you're not. I don't know, it's just kind of weird. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just like the impression I get with like those kind of bands. That, you know, good music, but it's just so very processed sounding. My old drummer and best friend brother and from a different mother, Tony, he said something like one time he thinks that they're all like industry plants, and I guess that's a kind of a conspiracy theory going around it. A lot of these bands like Hellstorm and Mastodon and all those like are like industry plants. In other words, they're like just sort of manufactured secretly by the industry to get out there, and who knows, you know, whatever that means, whatever. You know, people used to say Boston, all those bands were corporate rock or whatever. So I see like bands like that as corporate metal. But Midnight Vice isn't corporate metal or corporate rock. A lot of these bands are just considered the underground now. You know what I mean? Like I said, if these bands came out in the 80s or like mid 90s or like early 90s, most of these bands, they would be up there in the charts and on the MTV Headbangers Ball and shit like that. But they unfortunately missed that boat, and now they're kind of considered the underground. But I just feel like, again, I feel like there's a renaissance with these bands, a new renaissance happening where out of 100, 5 or 6 is going to shoot up really high, really big, and that's good because that's what you want. Like I said, we're in a market where it's very, compact and very just flooded with music and bands, and everyone can just record at home and do their own record labels and put up and use their iPhone for their own videos and things like that. And so it just becomes more crowded out there. So that means there's going to be, and again, it's always been that way. There's always been hundreds of bands, but just now because of the internet, you see it all, so now it's a matter of you digging through and finding what you like and what turns you on. And, and that's why I think it's important that these channels like the NWOTHM channel and the black metal channel, which I want to touch on that on a future episode, and all the black metal promotions channel I'm talking about on YouTube. We need these kind of channels that are just putting this stuff out there for you to listen to and for you to check out. Because once you listen to one or two of those bands, next thing you know, you go on YouTube and that's going to suggest others in your feed, and you're going to be like, wow, okay, that's from the same channel, and wow, this band that they're promoting. And yeah, so then you again do your research, find out more about the band. Like, I like to learn about the band. I like to see, okay, when do they form, and what albums, what's their catalog look like, and and all that good stuff. So yeah, next band is called The Serpent. No, not the Serpent. They're called On the Loose, and the album is called Path to Serenity. They're from Portugal, I believe. Let me see the notes here. On the Loose from Portugal, Chalveria, Portugal, epic doom metal band. Yeah, so they're doom metal, epic doom metal, formed in 2020, led by Marco Maruco on guitars, independent, unsigned with band. They have Bandcamp. So their latest album is called Path to Serenity, and a very unique sounding band. The singer sounds very unique sounding. He's got his own style of voice, and it's very. I picked this particular song called The Serpent. Oh, let me click this off so you can see me. Pick this song The Serpent because the opening riff, it's been stuck on my head for days. It's just got such a cool sound to it, and then when his vocals come in, it's very kind of subtle but raspy, but can't tell if it's doubled or not. And they do it actually. If you go on their YouTube, they do a really cool version of a Lynyrd Skynyrd song. What's that song called? What's that ballad that they have that everyone loves? Something about man or whatever. Anyway, I don't want to butcher that, but anyway, they do a very good version of that. Which let me show you what they look like, because it's kind of hard to tell who's actually all in the band. Like who the singer? I don't know if that's the singer, the guy with the cowboy hat on, or because in the photos on their Facebook page, there's a guy singing that looks like the other guy. It looks like the guy on the far left there. But then the guy with the cowboy hat looks like he could be the singer. So I need to dig a little bit more into them. They don't seem to have a whole lot of followers or subscribers on their channel. So I encourage you, if you like them, go and check them out and tell friends about them. I don't know, maybe it's just they're not being promoted right or marketed right or something, but they're a band that sounds like they need that they would have actually a bigger presence online, as far as the way they sound. But check it out. Here we go. Serpent. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, I mean, that little bend there, and he does it in another song too. I was listening, it's almost like that's his style, but yeah, right. I just love those harmonies, the guitar harmony, and his voice. Again, his voice is very it sounds like he's almost like he's dying, but he's not, but not in a good way. Not like, oh, you sound like you're dying, get that singer out of there. No, in a good way, he's emotional. There's he's whatever he's singing about, he's putting that emotion into it. And it just sounds like, I don't know. The song is called The Serpent, so it sounds like he's the serpent within. So it sounds like the serpent within is trying to break through his skin. get out to the public. All right, let's go on. Witch Hazel is the next band I want to tell you about, man. This band, I discovered them that's like earlier this week. Again, clicking on the album cover thing. Oh, that album cover looks pretty interesting. I like the lettering. I like the colors, the way the colors. It's called Lamentations, or it's called Witch Hazel 5. If you go back and you see their other albums, they got Witch Hazel 1, 2, 3, 4, with a different title or whatever. And really cool sounding band. I mean, another band that sounds kind of unique, that with really smart melodies and arrangements, and very Jethro Tull in some areas, kind of Uriah Heep in some areas, good harmonies, kind of an interesting look, like they're from, I guess, Finland and the US, or no, they're from the UK. I don't want to get them mixed up with the other band. They're from the UK. Matter of fact, I'll read some notes on them. Lancaster, UK. They're from the Lancaster part of UK. Anyway, that's probably not the right accent there. Hard rock traditional metal band led by Colin Hendra, vocals and guitar, with Alex Hallam on guitar, Andy Stockholm on bass, and Aaron Hay on drums. The records released via Bad Omen, Pathetic. Oh, and they're on Metal Blade. I remember that. Yeah. So check this out. I went out and got their record. Is it upside down? Yeah, got the record. And yes, they're on Metal Blade Records. It comes with a cool inside there. It comes with a nice little booklet and everything. So yeah, it folds out really cool. So see. Yeah, really good packaging on this. And but yeah, just like the song called Elements I pulled up because it's such a good, catchy, just very, like I said, it's you just hear all these different influences from the 60s and the 70s in their music. It's almost like psychedelic, but just hard rock, just classic hard rock sounding. I wouldn't say it's super metal or nothing like that, but it's that classic hard rock. I guess, traditional, new wave of traditional hard rock. I guess I wonder if there's a channel on that. Anyway, here we go. Witch Hazel, Elements.
I can see through a storm. But can it be I am born for a kingdom? Thunder and the rain, but the root of my pain is the land where I stand at the
How cool is that? It sounds like I said, something out of the 70s, a very kind of, I want to say maybe Steely Dan, kind of like that, like that, like just that classic rock sounding, which is really great. And again, the whole album's good. There's even some like metal sounding stuff on their record. It's like some traditional metal sounding, but they come in with those cool vocals and those harmonies. And again, sometimes his vocals sound like Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. And yeah, it's a really great band. Get out there and get Witch Hazel, spelled with a Y. Witch spelled with a Y. Why? Why is it spelled with a Y? Not an I. This next band I just discovered them last night and thought, I need one more band to add to this, And they're called Star Force, heavy speed metal from Mexico City. Members include Melly Wild she's vocals, and then on guitar, Yux Garcia, guitar and synthesizers, Kevin Valencia, bass, Angel O, Viper on drums. On drums is Rodrigo Rodriguez. That's a tongue twister right there. Anyway, so they're from Mexico City, and I believe I got a picture of them up here somewhere. So here's what they look like. Yeah, right there. It looks like they got a pretty good amount of records, but their sound is just unique. It's very raw sounding, like I guess it's like power metal, but it's raw. They tell these really cool stories. They have one song or two songs where they sing in Spanish, which sounds really. I always love that when a band from Mexico sings in Spanish because I love that language. But let me check it out here. Let me find a video that I did for them. The song is called "Sign of an Angel," and I also pulled up a little bit of live performance of them. So I want you guys to check out how they are live. Very powerful vocals. Almost reminds me of like a female version of Steve Grimmett from Grim Reaper, in that sense of just the tone that she's using. Here's a little bit of what they do live, or how they kind of come across as live. The scream was almost like a singer loudness.
La reina despierta la furia de las derechas. Los dioses y astutos acuerdos calmarán la ira de poseer.
Like singing in Spanish, which is cool. Yeah, the guitar plays really fast, and they're almost like they're really raw sounding right there. So that's what I loved about it too. Like it's not all perfect like the record or whatever. It's got some just a little bit of muddiness in there, which is like showing like that emotion, that power that they have. So that's a great band to check out from Mexico City, as they say. Yeah. Now this next band. So we checked out Witch Hazel. Okay, the next band, number 15 that I have on here is Sintage. They're from Germany, another Germany band. Can never go wrong with Germany, like I said, man. So this band is called Sintage. Let me see if I got the right picture here. Did I pull up a picture of them? I thought oh yeah, right here. Sintage, Unbound Triumph. You got the guitar guy, or the guitarist with his flying V up in the air. And there's a band. That's what they look like. They look like a metal band, right? That's what you want. You want your band to look like a metal band, not a guys that work at a gas station. I guess you could look anyway, work at a gas station. So anyway, but their song is called Cutting the Stars, I believe is what it's called. Cutting the Stars. Very good song. Let me give you a little bit of background on these guys. Sintage is a Leipzig. Oh, I got a live album for Mayhem from that place. Leipzig, Germany, which is again, I have that live album from Mayhem. Heavy metal band formed in 2019. Early current lineups list singer, bassist Randy, drummer Andy, and guitarist Jules. And they are a new wave of traditional heavy metal, classic metal inspirations, active on the German's underground circuit. So yeah, not a lot of info on them, but we're going to check out what they sound like. You're going to really be impressed by this guitar playing here. That's probably why they got that guy in the cover. Man, that's straight metal right there. That's the metal you love to hear. Fast riff, just some good fucking riffing right there. As I said, the guitar tone is perfect. The vocals sound great. The vocals is just, they fit the song just perfectly. Yeah, I would play the whole little bit longer to get into the chorus, but I don't want this show to run into like 3 hours. So we got a few more bands to go. But check them out. Again, the beauty of the internet. You like a little bit of snippet of that, go back and check on YouTube and find the song, or go to their Bandcamp and listen to the whole thing, and buy it if you like it. If you like it, buy it. People buy from people they like. That's a sales number one. So if you like, you'll buy it. You like it, you'll buy it. You break it, you'll buy it. The next band we're gonna look at. Let me see. I might have to. Okay, so this other band is called Aquila, if I'm pronouncing it right. Aquila. They're from Poland, which is another great place. That's where the guy from Behemoth is from. You know, Nergal. I don't know if the whole band is from Poland. I know he's from Poland, but let's check it out. Let's see and give you a little bit of a taste of what they look like. Killa. It's the album cover. They got a cool looking album cover. Sentinel. Sentinels of the New Dawn. That's what they look like as far as their image. Looks like a metal band. That's what you want. You want your band looking like a metal band and not working in a grocery store somewhere. Right? I guess you could look however you want and work in a grocery store. If I had long hair, you can't. They cut your hair, boy. Let's check out Aquila. Let me see here. You'll like this song. It's called Creed of Fire, the music video. They're on High Roller Records too. A lot of good stuff from High Roller Records. I suggest go to their website and you'll find a lot of great bands on there.
Listen from ashes of forgotten world, carrying the legacy on. We are the keepers of the holy flame. As sunriders we were born. For our call is a creed of fire that is burning endlessly. And I go.
That's really good. That's like that's straight out of an Iron Maiden video from like the 80s. Like, you know, like it looks like the 1982 era, you know, when Bruce Dickinson jumps on the monitor and shit like that. Was that drummer wearing a cowboy hat? How the hell are you drumming that fast and that accurate with, and your cowboy hat's not falling off? That's pretty cool. It was like Dimebag Darrell on the drum set, or Vinnie Paul. But yeah, that's badass, right? Seriously. Fucking rip, fucking badass. Okay, that's cool. Killa. Let me give you a little bit of background on that band because I almost forgot. Warsaw, Poland, heavy metal band formed in 2015, so they're very new. They're like 10 years old, huh? A little over 10 years. Lineup and interviews list members as Captain Paradox. I like the name of the singer, Captain Paradox. Jasper D. Phaser. Those are like the only two members that's listing on there. But yeah, just do your research, go to their Bandcamp, and you'll see more. And always, you know, maybe Google a lot of these bands' names because a lot of times you might be able to find an interview, like something they do in print or whatever somewhere, or online or whatever. Like a lot of online music vloggers and stuff that interview a lot of these bands. Again, I'm hoping to reach out to some of these bands and get them on my show as well. Again, I got Raven Fire lined up. I'm working on Wings of Steel, but those guys probably won't be till next year sometime. Tail Gunner, I did pitch Tail Gunner, like to come on the show, and just waiting for a response from them. But I feel like I kind of went on a little bit too long with you know, so hoping they're like, oh my god, this guy's like talking forever. Like, you know, just ask us, you want us on the show or not? So I'll keep trying to get them on, but you know, who knows? They might be too big to be on my show, probably. But I don't know. I see a lot of these bands do these other channels that only have like maybe a few hundred subscribers. They only get like 20 something views. At least with me, you'll at least get 1,000 views at least or so. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else. I'm just saying, but I just feel like I should have a shot just as anyone else, right? In doing this kind of stuff. All right. So the next band we're going to take a look at is, let me see here. What do I got lined up? So we did a 16. We got Aquila was the last one. Oh, this band called Phantom Spell. So Phantom Spell is from Spain as well. They're from the same place as Raven, or not same city, but you know, they're from America, Spain. That's weird, America. That's like how we always joke about America, like hey, America, but I guess there's America, Spain. They blend prog and classic heavy metal. Yeah, so they're kind of like a prog metal band. As a matter of fact, their album cover really jumped out at me, and it looks like they tour with Witch Hazel every now and then. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. So there's a little bit of a common ground there. Let me show you what the album cover. This album cover jumped at me because I like the logo, the way it's kind of simple. Looks like it just kind of was that in class, and he just kind of, oh, I need a logo. I'm just drawing on my notebook or whatever. And then they use that as a logo, which is really cool. I just heard a weird sound. This album is called Heather and Heath, or Heathers and Heath, and Heather and Hearth, Heather and Herth. So it's like Heather and then like Earth, but Hearth. Heather and Hearth. Here's what they look like. Very mysterious and dark looking, right? Okay, so let's check out their songs. Or there at least one song. All right, here we go. Phantom Spell. This song is called Evil Hand.
Between the hammer and the sharp end of a blade, we have no choice to make. Through broken promises of golden glory days, this is the price we pay. Oh, subtle whispers of a wicked man, twisting words for us as time began. Oh, the gentle touch of an evil outstretched hand. The more you give, the more that they demand.
Very cool, very unique. And I think there's a song on their album. I was listening to like really long. I couldn't upload it on this because the length was too long for that particular part. But very long song. Matter of fact, I want to go back to that band Wings of Steel. They have like a 9-minute song on their album, which is really cool. And I saw an interview with them. They were saying that they don't really plan it out that way. Just if a song is 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes. If it's not, it's not. So that was really cool, and that's how it should be. However the song comes out, it's got to come out anyway. So Evil Hand, that's by Phantom Spell. Get out there and get that. Like again, I like that album cover because it's kind of like I said, simple as far as the logo, but then just the artwork looks really cool. It's very kind of dark, 70s, 60s sound looking. Yeah. All right, we're almost done here. The next band I'm going to check out is called Darklon. They're from Greece, another Greece band. So far, Greece and Spain and Germany have been like the top bands. We got the U.S. I've always been more of a fan of bands from the European side of the planet, or Spain, or Japan, and things like that, more than U.S. bands. But lately, I've been just coming across a lot of really great U.S. bands like Void and Wings of Steel and those bands. But I've always loved bands from other countries because they do something, even though they're playing sort of that Western music sound, or they're inspired by bands from the U.S. or whatever. And also, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of U.S. bands inspired by those bands as well. But when you're inspired by a band or something from a different side of the planet, you're just putting a whole different spin on it. Like if you're doing a rock song, it's going to sound rock, but you're going to put a different spin. It's just going to sound different, and it's going to sound unique. There's going to be some little twist in the melodies, or how it's phrased, or how it's arranged, or something that just makes it just so much more unique. And that's what I always liked about that in music. Yeah, I'm losing my voice here. So this band is called Darklon. Let me show you what they look like. I'll show you what the album cover looks like. Right here. Really cool looking album cover. It looks like the Darkness from the the Image Comics, that character. Also looks like that one old video game used to be on PlayStation. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, and the album is called Mind Reaper. It's fucking, you can't get more metal than that, man. It's just Darklon. I love that logo. That logo looks fucking badass. It looks like a comic book cover, It could be like a DC character right there, man. Darklon. Let's check out the song. All right, it's called Mind Reaper. This is the title track. No Morse Records, great label. Man, was that fucking powerful right there? That's some fucking fucking metal right there, man. I almost hear a little bit of Geddy Lee in there, like how Geddy Lee sings on the Clockwork Angels album. Um, I don't know. It's just my ears are weird like that, so I just heard that a little bit. Even the guy probably is even inspired by Geddy Lee. Maybe he is. I don't know. I'd like to be interested to know what his influences are. The singer. Let's give you a little bit of notes on Darklon. They're from Greece, Athens-based power heavy metal band formed in 2017. So they're really new, about like what, 8 years old, 7 years old. Recent album activity on No Remorse Records. The new album is called Mind Reaper on No Remorse. No Remorse is a great label. I mean, I think they're the ones that put out that Quiet Riot box set, like the early Quiet Riot 1 and Quiet Riot 2 with Randy Rhoads. That's right. I ordered those box sets from them. I think that's the same label. And I think they even reissued the Armored Saint records. If this is, I'm pretty sure it's the same label, but that's a good label to be on. Yeah, a lot of great, Napalm, Metal Blade. I don't know about Century Media, but Century Media, a lot of their bands kind of sound like that. Like I was talking about that kind of corporate metal or whatever. There's some good stuff though, like I said, but I guess it's all about your preference, right? Music is subjective. It's like art. It's like subjective, it's what sucks to someone is brilliant to another. What's brilliant to someone is sucks to another. And it's all about what you like and what you love. And that's all that matters. No one can take that away from you. If you love a band and someone says, oh, that band sucks. Well, that band is still that same band that you love. They didn't just all of a sudden suck just because someone told you they do. It's like, wow, that song is fucking badass. And then someone comes on, oh, that song sucks. Man, I'm hearing it different now. This song sucks. It's like, come on, man. It's the same fucking song that you loved until someone told you it wasn't. And it works in reverse as well. So, yeah. Now, this last band I'm going to mention that was on the list or whatever. Again, there's so many. I could have probably went 30, maybe 50 of these, but maybe I'll do a part 2 sometime or whatever. But I definitely want to do this every now and then. Just maybe a top 5 or top 10 of bands that come out a certain, maybe every 3 months or something like that. Just try to keep up on a lot of them, and because you're becoming a fan of some of these bands, or most of them anyway, you're going to want to see what they got coming up the year after or 2 years after when they put out a new record and things like that, and just you follow them, because then all of a sudden they're like this big band and they get mainstream. The next thing you're like, oh, they sold out, man. They used to be my band and they sold out. Now they're fucking everybody loves them. Why? Because they're actually making a living now, fucking off their music. You hate them because they're able to feed their families now. Never understood that. Man, everybody loves them now. That's what you wanted. That's why you like when you telling all your friends, hey, check out this new band I just loved. It's like your fault. You're the one to spread them around. Now they got big and now they can feed their families and now you hate them. It's like I never understood that. They sold out. But I understand, like they're selling out. It means like they change their style just to fit with a certain trend. That to me is what selling out is. But if a band stays true and they just become big and then they're obviously going to evolve into something different musically. But if they just do it just based on because they're that good, they're just a good band that people gravitate to, then that's not selling out, Anyway, this band's called Executor, EXXCUTR. Now, this band was like fucking, they're pretty brutal. And it was like some of their song titles were, I should have actually forgot whether one of the song title was like Goat Fuck Your Face or something, like Goat Fuck Your Face or something like that. They're called Executor. Let me show you what the album cover looks like. It's very old school, Into Hellish Domains. Yeah, kind of a cool image there. Oh yeah, the singer's name is Face Ripper. Now, if you know your singer's name is Face Ripper, you know that fucking shit's gonna be badass. Albasso and Alfestor on drums, it looks like. So they're Germany and Spain. Fast, extreme, heavy band with releases on fucking Kill Records. Fuck yeah, man. Now, is that a real record label, you think? Or is that just like they just, you know, our band, we made up our own record, like I think it was like Mundane Records or Stop the or Death to the Mundane Records or something like that. Back when before we were signed to Full Moon Productions. Yeah, records Into Hellish Domains, active European underground scene. Fucking Kill This Thing is at their album cover. Okay. So anyways, you got an idea what they look like. And we're going to hear what they sound like. This song is called Die with a Knife in Your Back. Whoa. Let's see. This is a video, so check it out. I've got the midnight shirt on. Yeah, I mean, the vocals remind me of like an early Creator, like, you know, Millie or whatever from Creator. Very fast, almost feel like a Motorhead, Venom kind of feel. I love the old school looking video. I mean, obviously it's a young looking band, but then they got like as if they just came out of the early 80s and stuff. Yeah, really cool. I'm gonna definitely buy their record. Got that on my list. That's it. That's 20 bands, I believe I named up. There's one band I want to mention that I didn't mention earlier. And I just found out that they got a new record coming out because I had bought in there from another band. You know, obviously I talked about them earlier when I said like this is how I discovered on that channel, New Wave of Traditional Heavy Metal. I discovered this band on there about 2 or 3 years ago, and yeah, it's falling apart. But anyway, it's called Savage Master. I guess they consider themselves a cult metal, you know, and I think I got a picture of them somewhere. Yeah, there's them right there. Savage Masters. I got this new album called Dark and Dangerous. I just ordered it. I guess it's coming out. I think it's already out. So I ordered it, so it's going to be delivered to me probably soon. It's a 2025 release, but I didn't put them in this list because again, I want to get bands that I just came across that I haven't heard of or maybe dabbled in here and there, but this band I already knew about and had their album. But I had just found out that they put out a record this year, and so I ordered it. But anyway, and I want to just give you a little sample of them. They kind of consider themselves cult metal in a sense. Got the cool hooded fucking guitar musicians and stuff. But I love the videos because the videos are very just like kind of cheesy, but cool cheesy. Like not cheesy, like, oh my God, that's cringe or whatever like the kids are saying, but just really super cool. Like I love these bands that they put that stuff into they put a lot of work into their videos, and again, and it looks like they're spending the money, spending the time, and maybe the budget ain't that expensive for these videos that they're making. Obviously, anybody can make a video on their iPhone and make it look good and stuff. But the fact that they're just putting in the work and the time to do that with their songs, and knowing that they probably don't have a big record label budget like we used to have back in the day and stuff. So it's really cool. So I'm glad you sat this almost 2 hours with me on this. I'm hopefully I didn't lose you somewhere. Really hoping that I turned you on to something new. That's why I do this, because I'm always hearing stories from people that, especially my age, that think that metal and rock is dead, or there's nothing good out there anymore. All the bands that we used to love are gone or dead or whatever. And it's like, that's right. And if I hear one more dude my age say that Iron Maiden, what happened to that band? I'll say, dude, if you're a fan, you would know they still continue to tour and they still kick ass in their 60s and 70s. And they still put out new music. Alice Cooper still puts out new music, at least a new record almost every year at 75, 78 years old. So don't tell me that bullshit that music is dead. But aside from that, there's all this new stuff that's just like out there that you just got to get out there and find it and just be a fan. Don't be like, oh my God, I don't know, they're not popular, nobody knows about them, and I don't know if I should like them or not, because maybe they need to like earn my like. They need to get up there and get their teeth, cut their teeth a little more before I can give them a chance. And they're doing it. They're already cutting their teeth. They're out there doing it. They're playing the shows. They're slugging it out. The only difference is maybe they're not living in their car or feeding off of or leeching off girls like we used to do in the Sunset Strip days. Rich people, rich girls or whatever. Going for broke. Maybe a lot of them have their parents helping out money wise or this and that, which is nothing wrong with that, man. But they're putting in the work musically. And I'm glad they're doing that, because I'm glad they don't have to deal with a bunch of the stuff that we had to deal with in my age, stress of having to like lick envelopes and pack it with a CD or a cassette tape and a bio and then mail off about 100 packages every week and just to get 2 letters back saying, sorry, we're going to pass. Or in order to get into like a magazine or a fanzine, you had to like send off that shit and wait for weeks and hope that the fanzine is going to put you in it, which a lot of times they did put us in there. But or if you're going to make flyers or ads, you have to go Kinko's at like 2 a.m. and sit there and cut and paste and cut scissors. Here's what we used to do. We'd be like, okay, yeah, man, here's the logo. And be like, put the glue stick, stick it on there. Got the flyer. Okay, now let's make copies. 2 cents a copy. You got $20 on you, man. Every band member had to put in there like $5 or $10 to go in for promotion and stuff. And yeah, that's how we slugged it out. And I would imagine bands still slug it out these days, just in a different way. And I could respect and love that. It's just as much. And yeah, so get out there and get some of this music. Check it out. I'm glad you stuck it out with me. Again, I'll put all of the band camps. It's going to take me a little bit to put all the band camp. I'm just going to put their band camp. And if they don't have a band camp, I'll put some kind of contact that you can find their music on, whether it's their Facebook page or maybe an Amazon or something like that, Amazon link. But most of these bands, I think every one of them have a band camp at some point, at some level. So yeah, so you'll be able to check that out and explore. Just like I said, get out there, always be discovering new music. If you don't like it, there's always something else that you could check out and you'll like. I always tell people all the time, people that don't like my old band or my music, I say, that's fine. There's plenty of stuff out there for you to like. I only do stuff I love and like. When you're writing music, only write what you love, write a song that you would buy. If you could look at it as an objectively, I think that's the word to use for that. It would be something that you would buy if you didn't write it or put it out. And when you have a song like that, that's when you know you're doing it right, And I could guarantee most of these bands, if not all of them, have that mindset when they're writing these songs, because there's some good shit out there. Actor, man, fucking. That's like, I mean, if I was gonna rank these, they would be in the top 3. The band Actor, that's like the most unique out of all these, and then Creatures would be up there. Wings of Steel, yeah. So, but yeah, get out there. I'm gonna ramble on and on and on, but I guarantee you this: I will be back with some more good stuff, and I got some other stuff working on for the new year and all that good stuff. And just stay tuned. Keep tell your friends about the rock and metal block. Check this out. I'm going to put this up for a little bit. Should have put it up a long time ago. That right there, that's the QR code to my TikTok. TikTok is getting up there. I've got almost 2,000 followers, which ain't a lot compared to TikTok world, but it's a lot compared to like what I had about maybe 5 months ago. I started at 500, and I've been getting like 5 or 6 followers a day. And then, I'm always active on there. I'm posting like, top 10 albums or what I'm playing for the day, or, I'm always trying to turn people on to like, get out there and listen to some music and things like that. And yeah, so I'm always posting like stuff about whatever's happening in the music news, like when Ace Frehley passed away and Ozzy passed away. Unfortunately, we've lost those 2 great icons. But yeah, so just check out the TikTok. How do you do that? Like there, and follow me on there. TikTok's fun if you know how to have fun on it. Don't let it warp your brain with all the other bullshit that's on there. But then you can always find me on Facebook. I'll put my links down in the thing and all that. There's a rock and metal block Facebook group that you could join, which you can post. And if you have a band, you want to promote your stuff on there, that's totally open for that. I try to keep everything where everyone can just have a place that they can promote their stuff, because I just believe it's so important to have a vehicle, whether it's online or not online or wherever, just somewhere that you can promote your music, promote your band, promote your writing, your acting, whatever it is you're doing in the arts and entertainment. This is one place you can always promote no matter what. Don't even have to ask me like, hey, can I put this on your page? No, just put it on there. I don't care. As long as it ain't stupid shit like, dildos for sale or fucking X-rated shit. I could go to anywhere for porn. I don't need to be posting porn shit on my fucking Facebook pages. Like it's on my fucking browser, man. I got my Pornhub. It's like if I want to look at some stuff, it's free. I don't have to worry about a fucking virus, right? So don't be posting that shit in my group. I don't need that. All right, horns up. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to everyone else, because if you're not good to yourself first, you're no good to anyone else. So horns up and peace out. Yeah.